Everybody, welcome to this regularly scheduled Waterville Planning Board meeting. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Now, before we get started, I think that this is really important. It's something that I want to start the meetings with from now on. So I would like to acknowledge that this planning board meeting that we are meeting on and discussing the traditional lands of the Wabanaki Confederacy, and most specifically the Eastern Abenaki peoples, the historical custodians of the land in which we live, known as Waterville. May we pay respect to their elders, past, present, and emerging. And also, I would like to note that today is International Women's Day, and I have three remarkable women that sit with me on this planning board, so I want to acknowledge them, as well as Anne and Allie, and thank you all for the work that you're doing in our community. So, with that being said, I will entertain a motion to approve the minutes of the February 22nd meeting.
So moved.
Do we have a second? Thank you, Hillary. Okay, and we'll do a roll call. Any further discussion? Okay, Dave?
Yes.
I'm a yes. Tom?
Yes.
Hillary?
Yes.
Bruce?
Yes.
April?
Yes.
And Cassie?
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, number 2, disclosure of conflict of interest. Do any board members have a conflict that they would wish to acknowledge tonight regarding one of the items? Dave?
Yep. So number 5, I recently found out within the last couple of weeks, my father owns a contracting business who does pretty much all of Bill Mitchell's work. I don't own any of it, but I figured I would disclose that. I do not believe it's going to impact the way I would vote on anything.
Thank you, David. Any discussion about that? I would agree. I don't think that a conflict exists. Do any other board members have any opinion? Okay. Bruce?
Oh, no, I was just going to
Okay.
say I don't see any issue with that either. Doesn't seem to,
Sounds good. So
not at all.
we will move forward then. Number 3, Waterville Public Schools is requesting a preliminary and final plan review for the 32,700 square foot addition to Waterville Junior High School at 100 West River Road. This review is in accordance with Articles 8 and 9 of the Site Plan Review Ordinance. And Anne has asked us to postpone that to a date certain.
Jeff's here.
Oh, Jeff's here. Okay.
Good evening. Yeah, I think Anne told me that she'd like to discuss this evening, and can kind of let you know where we are in the process. And then at the end of the discussion or any questions that you have, we probably will ask to table this because we've got some other issues that I'll explain in a minute. I just noticed also Doug Frame is on here. He's a representative of the school department as well. So just initially a follow-up to our last meeting, you'd asked us to look at potentially doing a one-way entrance. And we looked at that more closely in our office, and I spoke with the traffic engineer, and we've decided to leave it as it is. And I can explain that simply because it's the way the buses come in now to drop off students at the junior high. They come to the existing front of the building, which is rather than the parking lot. So when the buses leave, they would then have to go through the entire parking lot to get back out onto the road. So it's much more direct for them to be able to exit out the same entrance they come in. The other thing we'd have to do if we had 2 left turning lanes coming into the building would be to encroach further on the right of way of the golf course across the street. We have to widen that out so that we'd have room for a through lane. So we'd have essentially one bypass lane. We have 1 bypass lane now and 2 lanes coming in. So at least for this time, I think we, the engineering people that have looked at this, are more comfortable leaving it is the way it is now. That doesn't mean it can't be changed in the future, but we'd like to try this, and I think this is going to provide for the smoothest passage of buses and vehicles that we had. Just as a reminder, we have 2 different exits now. So the traffic engineer I spoke with, Diane Morabito from James Sewell Company, had come down last fall and done a traffic count. And one thing that she mentioned was the traffic going out is sort of overwhelmingly turning right to go back in down Waterville. It's about 87% turning that way and 13% turning left when they leave the school to head down to Augusta or south on that road. So we're hoping that will having the 2 exits will allow easier exiting for drivers to go out to the right, and it'll still allow the left turning. We have a dedicated left turning lane now in the newly proposed exit. One other thing that we had not addressed last time was where the dumpster's going. Pretty mundane stuff, but it's hard to put a dumpster in front of a building that doesn't have a side. It has 2 fronts and a back. So where we ended up putting it was across from the existing entrance, sort of on the end of that loop that you drive around there. I can show that if you need to.
I'm sorry to interrupt. Yeah, I was going to ask, you're talking, I'm sort of working from memory, and I mean, I can visualize it because I've spent a lot of time there, but I think it would be a lot easier if you could bring it up.
Sure. We'll try to, there we go. So this is the currently buses and drivers come in this entrance and go around this way to drop students off and then go back out. This is where we'd like to stick the dumpster, is right over on the far side here, because a vehicle coming in with to pick up the dumpster would be able to drive in right there, load it and tip it up onto the load, and then continue out and go out this way. Again, that would avoid having them go through the traffic over here. One other change we've made that it probably makes sense to have this up so you can see it, is in this area right here, we did have 2 islands and another bypass in through here. We talked extensively with Public Works, who currently plow the parking lot. And they're concerned that the traffic islands that we're putting in here to channelize traffic, and also the curbs, are going to inhibit their, or slow down. It won't inhibit it. It'll slow down their plowing. And so it'll take more time for them to do that. My feeling is that this is a much safer way to have traffic going in a much more controlled system through here with the children going back and forth. And I'm really quite certain that I'd like to leave this the way it is. That way that you've got a bypass lane for traffic to go out here. The parent drop-off will be on the inside lane, and the buses will have a separate lane all to themselves on the inside. So that's somebody being dropped off by their parents would have to cross over the buses, but that's their professional drivers versus somebody that's really, potentially maybe in a hurry to get home. And, that I just want to, make it as safe as we can. One other thing the Public Works wanted to do is remove some of the bollards that are out here. These are steel bollards that are in front of the handicap spaces. If we took the bollards out, we could, but we'd have to replace them with signs because law requires every time you have a accessible parking space, you have a sign in front of it. So we'd still need to have some sort of sign here. So I opted to retain the bollards. This last two spaces out here to the right did have bollards for no particular reason other than to kind of encourage traffic to go all the way around to leave. I agreed that we could probably take those out without any impact to safety. So those are the changes that we've happened. Now, the reason we're going to be asking to table this is we've had some conversations with Maine Department of Transportation. DOT is authorized by state law and required by state law, in fact, to actually have a permit in place before a building permit can be issued. So if we were to finalize this evening by municipal law, we could, code enforcement could then issue a building permit. So they're looking at not having the building permit or not starting construction on the addition here for a couple months anyway. So I spoke with Doug Frame and with the traffic engineer, who thought that, within a couple months, we'll be further along in the process getting the DOT permit. She has that all prepared and is just waiting for a check from the city before she files that with DOT, and then they have a certain amount of time to review that. Their allowed review time is greater than the 2 months until we'd be able to probably pick this up again the second meeting in April. So right now, that's the changes we've proposed. The application has been filed with Maine Department of Environmental Protection, and I've received a few questions that are pretty simple feedback that I've been able to respond to already. So at least we know they are looking at the application and are, beginning to process it in earnest. Their acknowledgement that they received it allows them, their time frame, their allotted time frame, allows them till August 1st to complete their review. We're hoping that they'll be much faster than that, and I'm trying to get back to them and answer their questions as quickly as I can to kind of facilitate that moving along. So I guess I'd be happy to entertain any other questions that you folks have this evening.
David.
Yeah. So just as a matter of public record, I did speak with Carl Morse and Matt Skehan on February 24th to discuss the snow removal. They are very concerned that, and they laid this out in some of the conversations. Basically, it's going to make it so that they are going to have to bring in different equipment that they use today, which means they may need to purchase new equipment that they don't already own, and potentially have additional seasonal staff on hand to be able to clear that parking lot. So I guess I would want to encourage those conversations to continue to happen between the school district, I'm guessing you, Doug, and Public Works, to figure out how that's all going to work, whether the school district is going to take on the responsibility of clearing some of that parking lot. I would like to see that resolved. So, and then the other thing, I completely understand the explanation about not having a one-way entrance. I would just really like to see the buses and the staff stop cutting around people to the left. I understand they're in a hurry, especially the buses, right? They have more runs to get to, but they're really causing a dangerous situation. So I guess that's another one for you, Doug. So.
Yeah, some of the discussion I'd had I had a meeting Friday morning over at Public Works, Thursday morning, I'm sorry, with the city engineer and Public Works director about the plowing. And, apparently the way they plow that now is with a 3-wheel dump truck. And they just go around and around and around and push the snow into the center. Certainly the islands will make that impossible. But I noticed, in many communities, they have either private contractors who will do this plowing, or they would have someone at the school department to may be able to do it. I think probably using big dump trucks is not the appropriate plow vehicle for a small area like this, and it's maybe easier to do with a pickup truck, like a large 350 style pickup truck that would be able to maneuver more around the islands. The other issue I need the islands for and the curbing is for stormwater. Frankly, DEP requires me to treat 95% of the stormwater running off the parking lot and running off the buildings. I'm treating 96, but that doesn't give me any place I can take curb out and allow the water to just flow off-site untreated. So just to meet the state requirements, that's really the other rationale that I have that's kind of compelling me to do that, in addition to safety.
Any other comments from the board?
I just wanted to add, I actually think those dividers are smart. I'm confused. I think that it sounds like those conversations are happening where they need to happen. If Matt wants to come before the planning board, he's welcome to come and have those discussions with us. I'm not sure that it sounds like he feels like he needs to. But they're dividers. They're dividers in lots of the schools, right? Like Winslow has a divider. The high school has dividers. I guess it sounds like maybe they're concerned because it's tight, but if there's special equipment that needs to be done to be used for it, then there's special equipment that needs to be used, but it sounds like there's good reasons for them in terms of safety and stormwater. It makes sense. So I'm not sure that sounds like an issue that we need to address, is it?
It's actually in the site plan ordinance. I'd have to, I'm looking for it now. 11.3, relation of development to community services. Any proposed development shall be reviewed by the board with respect to its effort upon existing services and facilities. So the services
right, I guess I'm wondering why, like, if he's concerned about it, why he's not here talking about it with us.
Yeah, I completely agree. I encouraged.
I would invite him
Works.
to come and talk to us, and not through you, is what I'm saying.
Yes, I did encourage.
Okay.
Public Works
Super.
to come. So.
Okay. Thanks.
Yeah, I'm really just not wanting to hear at either a city council or a school board meeting someone go, oh, well, we didn't budget for this and now we have to spend it. It's plenty of time out that this should be able to figure out who's going to incur the increased operational cost in any capital. So.
Yeah, no, I think it all sounds reasonable. It's just he needs to come here and talk to us about it if it's something that he's really concerned about.
Okay, any other questions from the board? Anything else you'd like to add, Jeff or Doug?
I'm all set, I think.
Okay.
No, thank you. I guess I would just add one thing. I do hear Matt and Carl's concerns, and I totally understand where they're coming from. But I've obviously directed Jeff to do what he thinks is the safest thing for our students and parents and visitors in those parking lots. I mean, what he's proposing is not an architectural or an aesthetic idea or plan. It's all based on safety. So that's been the premise that he's been working on, and I'm sure we'll be able to work through all of it. But our ultimate goal is to design something that's going to be a lot safer than what we currently have, and will be the best possible scenario going forward.
Thank you, Doug.
Thank you.
Okay. So I'll make a motion to postpone to April 26th.
Second.
Thank you. So any further discussion about my motion? Okay, we'll take a vote. Dave?
Yes.
I'm a yes. Tom?
Yes.
Hillary?
Yes.
Bruce?
Yes.
April?
Yes.
Cassie?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so item number 4. Manor Gardens LLC is requesting rezone for 54 College Avenue, 13 Maple Street, and a portion of 10 to 14 Maple Street, Assessor Map 52, parcels 348, 349, 351, 54 College Avenue, and 54 College Avenue and 10 to 14 Maple Street are currently zoned as Commercial C. 13 Maple Street is zoned as Residential C. The request is to rezone those parcels to Contract Zone Commercial A to meet the building setback requirements for the construction of 36 townhouse apartments. This review is in accordance with Section 7.1 of the zoning ordinance. There, Arthur, would you like to come up? Just in case we have any.
Again? Could you read that again?
Do you want me to do it faster this time?
Yeah, that's right. Thank you.
Yes, I'll do my best to answer any questions that one may have on this here. And I know my son-in-law, Mike Curran, is just coming back from out of state, and he's prepared.
He's right there.
In the event that I may have to pass it on to him.
Okay.
Yes.
I love that. So Anne has put together a pretty good memo for us that I hope planning board members had a chance to look that over. When we do a contract zone, Arthur, just so you know, we have to prepare a memo for the council that says how this meets our comprehensive plan. So Anne has prepared that for us already. I guess, does anybody have any questions to start? Okay, Anne, you're very eager to say something.
No, I just wanted to say I put it together very quickly, so if anyone has edits.
We can't hear her.
Oh, your mic's not on.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that I put that together very quickly, so if anyone has edits, feel free to make comments on that memo.
Great. Did anybody have any questions that you'd like to ask Mike or Arthur tonight about the rezone? Okay.
Was there any concerns about the neighbors? They have any concerns about this since we gave them a chance for public input?
Yes, Ally, are there any neighbors on? Any comments from the public tonight? Okay.
I also didn't hear any when this was talked about at the city council.
And Ann?
So
Yeah, I wanted to say I did not hear from any of the neighbors.
Okay.
That's wonderful news.
yeah, I've only heard positive things. So
Thank you.
yeah.
Yeah, so I guess I can quickly go. Oh, yep, Bruce.
Okay, thank you. I was just going to say, nothing's changed in my mind. I, went over and met with Arthur, and I think it's a
good location for what they want to do, and we should do what we need to do to accommodate the project, I believe.
So I guess I'll just go down kind of number by number, and then if anybody has anything from the comprehensive plan that they'd like to add, this would be a good time to do it. So recommendation and reasoning. So number one, consistency with the city's growth management comprehensive plan. We're proposing that, yes, it is consistent, and on the following reasons. So housing. It encourages and promotes affordable housing, quality housing opportunity for all citizens, encourages a variety of types and densities of housing to accommodate households of different sizes and incomes and ages, creates a vibrant and safe residential neighborhood, and the city shall promote availability of quality housing for all segments of the population and cooperate with private investors as well as local, state, and federal agencies. Anything that we should add in addition to in the housing section? Demographics creates a city that is a great place to live, raise a family, and grow a business. Local economy, support the retention and expansion of existing businesses. The city shall create new TIF districts by applying for grants, assembling parcels of land, making changes to traffic patterns, or rezoning for additional uses as needed. And policies, the city shall ensure that existing economic sectors and existing businesses are recognized and adequate attention and resources is targeted to foster their continued growth and vitality. Anything to add there? Okay, land use. Provide for adequate space and locations for city housing, commercial, industrial, recreational, and open spaces. Seems pretty straightforward. And then reason number two, establishes rezoned areas that are consistent with existing and permanent uses of the original zone. So currently the property is in 3 different zones: residential C, commercial C, and commercial C1, the new zone. So Anne has listed the residential C district zones: 1-family dwelling, 2-family dwellings, and multifamily dwellings. Permitted uses in the commercial C1, districted housing. You guys can read all of that. So the apartments and accessory uses are consistent with existing and permanent uses in both residential C and commercial C1 zones. Makes sense to have them all under one. And any other conditions, restrictions related to the physical development or operational rezoned property that anyone proposes. We don't have any right now. Okay, any further discussion? Hearing none, I will make a motion to accept the memo and rezone the parcels to commercial A contract zone.
Second.
Any further discussion? Okay, we'll take a vote. Dave?
Yes.
I'm a yes. Tom?
Yes.
Bruce?
Yes.
Hillary?
Yes.
April?
Yes.
And Cassie?
Yes.
Wonderful. Well, thank you, Arthur.
Yes, and my family and I like to thank you for working with us, and it's just going to be great for the city. I'm anxious.
Absolutely.
Sorry, may I?
Yeah.
Arthur, you understand, they're recommending to the council, so you'd still have
Yeah,
two
yeah.
votes at the
But to
council.
get to this point, it's just wonderful, because I just feel that I'll try to do my best to make things happen, whatever they want, and but to get to this point is a good thing. Yeah.
Well, thank you. Thank you
Yeah,
for.
you're welcome. Thank you again.
Thanks, Michael.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you very much. Yeah, just to echo Art's points, we've had a great week, kind of going through our milestones. We're kind of in the design phase, finalizing some funding, and starting to interview some contractors. So we appreciate it. We look forward to working with you guys further and checking in along the way. So thank you guys.
We look forward to seeing it.
Thank you.
Safe travels.
Yes, thank you. It's been a long day. My arms are tired from flying.
See ya.
Thank you, guys.
Okay, and now item number 5. Bill Mitchell is requesting rezoning from Commercial C to Commercial A for 146 Kennedy Memorial Drive, assessor parcel 37 through 85, 37-85, to allow for the renovation of 2 apartments on the 2nd floor of the building. Joseph Sporting Goods is located on the 1st floor. Okay. Hi, Bill.
Oh, he's muted.
I think he's still coming in, probably. There he is.
Hello.
Hi, Bill.
Hey, everybody. Sorry I was on, but to become what you guys call a panelist requires that we sort of re-enter the room. So,
Yeah, you get stuck in limbo there for a minute.
almost like being in the metaverse.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
Go through the wormhole.
Thanks for having me tonight.
So you're requesting a rezone to Commercial A in order to put a couple apartments in the building on Kennedy Memorial Drive. I talked to Rebecca Green today because she's in addition to being on the council chair, she's on the housing committee, and she didn't see any problem with this. It would be something that the housing committee would very gratefully accept. So I don't know if you have anything to add, Bill, specifically, but.
Not really, Sam. I mean, we all know that there's a shortage of quality housing units in Waterville. I commend Arthur and his team for taking a big leap in trying to address this issue. That's a major undertaking, and I wish them the best with it. I chip away 2 here, 3 there, and try to take any particular property that I can make the economics work on and try to deliver a little bit better experience in a property. This is a mixed-use property. It currently houses Joseph's sporting store. And if you can picture the building, there's a 2nd floor over the front half or so, maybe a little less than half. That's completely underutilized. Historically, it was apartments at one time, and then it was converted to offices, and it has been empty for a number of years now. Some of you may know I own other properties, commercial properties around Waterville. That's most of what I do, actually. And I can tell you that there's plenty of available office space in and around Waterville right now, but not a lot of housing units. And so, my approach is to take this property, try to make the most out of it. And I think that bringing the 2nd floor, which is about 2,500 square feet, and converting it back to 2 nice 2-bedroom units. There are already 2 kitchens there. There are already 2 bathrooms there. And it's laid out well for an adjacent living room, 2 bedrooms in each, is the best use of the property. We all know what abuts residential on the other side of KMD. So it's right there as part of Carver, and I can't remember the other street. I apologize. It's and on two streets, but I think that's the best use of this property. I've brought our fire chief, Sean Esler, and code enforcement, Dan Bradstreet. I always start a project with those 2 individuals touring and inspecting the properties with me. They're both on board. I've been corresponding with them on what would need to be done from a life safety point of view, or an agreement on how things would move forward to create the appropriate separations between the commercial space and the residential space. So I feel like it's ready to go. I got the impression at the council meeting that the council is generally in favor of approving this, and I'm hoping that you folks will agree and will make the recommendation back to the city council that they approve the rezoning, contract zoning to commercial A.
Thank you. I tend to agree. I would think the more mixed-use buildings we can have to increase our housing stock, the better. Maybe, I'm not really even sure, Anne, why don't we allow housing in every zone?
Well, there was a time when the council was very much focused on economic development. That was the real hot topic. So I think the idea was the less housing you have, the more businesses you have.
Okay.
So,
Maybe that's something the comprehensive plan committee can look at, David, because it does seem like the more
absolutely.
mixed use areas and places that we can take advantage of housing stock, the better. Bruce.
Hi, yes, thank you. Hi, Bill, good to see you again.
Thank you.
And,
You as well.
So it looks, I mean, I go by there often, obviously, don't live too far from there, and looks like a great location. It makes sense. My question, and it looks like there's plenty of parking, which sometimes can be a little issue on some apartment complexes and, you know, with commercial space. But where would the parking be for the tenants? Would it be that lower side near Carver Street, or on that upper side where I'm drawing a blank on that street too?
Yeah, that's a great question, Bruce, and thank you for bringing that up. So on the Carver Street side, that would be the entrance to the second floor. And there is a large paved area that exists that would be used for the residents of the apartments to park. There's lots of room down along the building that could easily be expanded. I don't think it's necessary, but I would want to try to accommodate 2 cars per apartment. From a practical point of view, that's probably realistic for a lot of families that may want to live there. I think there's room for that now, but if there's not, on the west side of the building, Joseph's uses that parking lot day to day. But if you've ever favored Joseph's, and they do a great job, very successful business, the parking lot generally only has 3 or 4 or 5 cars in it at any one time. It can probably fit 20. So there's plenty of room on the property overall to fit any vehicles. But as I see it now, Bruce, Joseph's would continue using their parking lot. On the Carver side of the building would be the parking for the apartments.
Okay, yeah, and I thought so. You know, when I've gone by on that Carver Street side, I noticed that big driveway there, and that makes sense. Hey, the tenants would be able to have gatherings when Joseph's is closed, not have to worry about parking. That's ideal.
Well, that's one of the nice things about a mixed-use building is, you know, most likely the people who live there will be working during the day and won't be parking there. Not that Joseph's needs that space, but then when Joseph's closes, then the folks that live there, you know, there's no conflict usually in parking with a mixed-use building like this.
Excellent. Thanks for answering that.
You're welcome.
Any other questions for Bill? Hillary.
Just along those lines, are you saying, I'm not sure where the entrances would be for the apartments, but would parking be in close proximity to the entrances?
Yes, Hillary, just as a point of clarification. So as you turn on to Carver from KMD, and the building is right on the corner there, The entrance is right there on, I guess what I'd call sort of the back of the building relative to the Joseph entrance. And if you were to pull in there, you'd see a door with a little roof over it that would kind of make it reasonably obvious that that's an entrance into the building. You just don't know where, but it's a nice generous stairway to the second floor. On either side of that, there's a paved area, fairly large, that I think can accommodate 4 cars as it stands right now. So you just pull right off the Carver, right up to the building, and you're right there.
And so would those be, what you're sort of envisioning, would those be additional spots? Separate?
For the people who live in the apartments.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Right, that you would sort of mark off for tenants so that people who are going to frequent Joseph's would know that those are for the tenants, right?
Yeah, for sure. But if you were to pull in there, you would see that it wouldn't be practical for Joseph customers to park on the Carver side of the building.
Right.
The parking lot is very large. It's a great site. And the parking area on the west side, where Joseph's entrance is even way more than Joseph's would ever need on their busiest day ever. So I don't see that conflicting at all.
Right. I just wanted to make sure that you weren't suggesting, when you said if that didn't work out, that they could use Joseph's lot, that you weren't suggesting that the entrance was here, say, and that they had to walk, along the side of the building to where the Joseph's entrance was to park their car.
That won't happen.
Okay.
If there were not adequate parking for the residents of the apartments, I think there is. I haven't paced it off, but just visually, I think there is. It could easily be extended 1 car stall going south on Carver Street. It's a grassy area to make those accommodations. I wouldn't expect the tenants of the second floor to park on the Joseph side of the building, the west side, and walk around on the KMD side or the other to get to the entrance. That would not be a good experience for those tenants at all. Everything would be on the Carver side for sure.
Super. Thanks.
Welcome.
Sounds good. So any other questions? Okay. With that, I will make a motion to accept the rezone from commercial C to commercial A to allow for 2 apartments above Joseph Sporting Goods at 146 Kennedy Memorial Drive.
Second. Beat you to it, Bruce.
All right. Any further discussion? Okay, we'll vote. Dave?
Yes.
I'm a yes. Tom?
Yes.
Hillary?
Yes.
Bruce?
Yes.
April?
Yes.
And Cassie?
Yes.
Thank you very much, Bill.
Thank you all very much. I appreciate your support and look forward to working with you on this project.
And with that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
The radio silence.